Hello, and welcome back to another Overwatch VOD review. My name is Scorch24, and today we're going to be taking a look at some support gameplay at the Diamond rank. Let's get started. Yep, good focus on that Genji. Okay, interesting use of the orb there. Your teammates weren't super low health, and now your Orisa's being, like, shoved down, so maybe the orb would have been better down here. Yeah, good kill on it. No real big complaints right now. There has to be... Ooh, that's a complaint right there. Definitely be careful. Okay, interesting. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so that dive into their team like that, I don't know why you chose to do that. Overall, we haven't really seen an official team fight, so there's not much for me to analyze on a macro scale. So right now we're just looking at some individual micro adjustments. Okay, not bad. That's 2 ultimates invested by your team. Gets gets a good team wipe, or almost team wipe. Yeah. So one of the things that I do notice with your gameplay is that your orbs, for the most part, aren't being placed like I'm not sure if the thought process of where you're throwing your orbs is quite there. I know you're firing your orbs for damage in the general direction of where the enemy team is coming from, and same thing with your healing in the general direction of where your team needs healing, and that's fine. But great job. Like that for example. Let me zoom out really quick. Genji comes out. Your Ana gets an awesome sleep on him. Great job. There, Sigma's going to go in for his ultimate and pulls up your team. Now, you are going to kill him in enough time, and you can tell because both your team and yourself are... Wow, that is actually a huge... Can we just appreciate this pull for a second? Okay. So, you're going to be able to whittle him down enough with the help of your Orisa and your Sigma. You kill their Sigma. Now, Sigma's change to one of the nerfs to his ultimate was that if he is killed or stunned or whatever reason is not able to finish his ultimate, all players will just drop down taking no damage. So you're able to do this fine. It's better in this case to not throw a healing orb up because there's going to be an amount of time for your orb to travel to them, and by the time it gets to them, they're only going to take some of that healing. So instead, what I like to do is wait until my enemies or until my team drops down and fire an orb directly at this wall in front of us. That way, all the healing will be absorbed by our team, and if there is some of the orb left over, it will bounce backwards. And I'll go more in depth in a couple more fights about orb placements on perpendicular surfaces and why that is the orb placement you should be looking for. So in this case, you're going to send this orb flying up. It's probably going to do maybe about 100, 150 healing on your teammates before your teammates drop out of its radius and take damage. But because his ultimate fails, they just simply fall down harmlessly, and you could have used that orb there to heal everybody up, including that Orisa. But so far, your resource management has been really good. I haven't seen you hit the need a recharge. Okay, so let's watch. Let's go watch that orb. Okay, so orb placement. This is what I mean here. So you're gonna throw your orb up kind of in a general direction. Let's watch as it goes through. I have it on a very slow speed. So you know your team needs some healing. They're up there alone. The Ana wasn't able to make the rotation quite yet. You throw an orb up, but watch its general path. You get the healing on the Sigma, which is great, but the rest of your team is going to continue to take damage as your orb just continues to fly up into space, essentially. So instead, you should look for map geometry that you can throw your orb at, such as this post here, that can ricochet and get the rest of your teammates to utilize the most amount of healing from that orb. Okay, good job. Yep, good spin around. Good healing orb. Great job. Awesome. No complaints there. Yeah, so instead of, well, that wasn't bad. Good job getting out. Okay, so you used your healing orb straight forward there, but you could have thrown it backwards and it could have ricocheted around with you and your team back here. Let's take a look at that engagement from an overview. So they try to focus you, seeing that there's 3 on that side. You do a great job escaping backwards, but you throw your orb forward. So since that orb is traveling forward, it doesn't heal anybody else on your team. If you had thrown it backwards, it would have helped heal your Ana here. It could have kind of just helped everybody around you. Then you kind of Wraith, but not effectively. I think you were just trying to stay next to your Ana, but because of that, you get caught in the Sigma ult and you die. So just keep that in mind when using your healing orb. Sometimes the placement for it is behind you and not necessarily in front, especially if your team isn't engaging with you. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Again, I don't like to personally use damage orbs on initiations, especially when a fight is so close like that. You need to remember that a lot of the times your healing orb might be the difference between someone staying alive during an engagement and dying. So when you throw a damage orb in like that by itself, and no one on the enemy team is able to die quickly, you're kind of just wasting it, and you're gonna have to hope that the enemy team doesn't engage right after that. That's usually when I see most Moira players get flamed for being DPS Moira and not healing. Okay, I love that you used your orb right before you used your ultimate. Not a lot of people do that, and I'm so glad that you've got that skill, because that's going to be like a big difference maker when you play Moira in Masters and Grandmaster. Yeah. So unlike before, where I said don't use damage orbs right before a fight starts, we're still in this poke phase, and it's totally fine for you to use your damage orb. So don't think that me saying don't use your damage orb during, like, before a fight is a bad idea. Oh, great reaction by your Reinhardt, but your Fade wasn't up quite yet. So that was just a really good coordinated dive on the DPS. You could take some time to go to the high ground if you wanted to, but I don't know what the comps for your team are right now. That's unfortunate. I think you just need to work a little bit on wraithing out of different situations, kind of memorizing map geometry a little bit better. I know sometimes when you have things behind you, it's hard to remember mentally where you are in the game, but if you can really get that skill down to the point where you know how far you can wraith, you know if you do those little half wraiths that you won't be like caught out or pushed too far away from your team. I think that's gonna be a really good and like crucial skill for you to build upon to push into Masters and higher Masters. Okay, I don't know why your Zarya was just standing out there for so long by herself with no one around her. That was kind of stupid. Really good reactions. Really good reactions here. Nice job focusing. So one thing that I want to look at from your perspective before your ultimate. Okay. So this is one move that um may have worked in this kind of situation. So if you look at how the enemy team is set up, you had the Reinhardt and the Roadhog right in front of you, the Genji just dashed out, you have the two supports on cart. One thing that you could have done is used your Wraith to initiate on this attack. So your healing orb is way out there. And that's fine. I know you may have been trying to save that Zarya, or you may have been just trying to heal up yourself. If you use your Wraith form to get to about here, I believe is where you would come out, you follow your healing orb and initiate your ultimate. Then you can tank down these two supports, or if you were able to get even further back, you can tank down just Diana and ult from behind. Now you open up space as a support where the Reinhardt either has to charge back to get you, or he can continue his advance on your team. And the Roadhog will have to turn around or continue forward, leaving his supports to die. You could also probably pick out that Genji really quick with your ultimate. And you could probably force out Baptiste's. Oh, you're going to be there with your tracer there as well. So I think that would have been the play here, is to get behind your team, just because being stuck into this this kind of choke with a Reinhardt in front isn't really great for you, because you're going to be hitting him with some damage, but it's not enough to kill him. So in this kind of scenario, you want to be looking for the picks. So yeah, I would probably have wreathed to about here, alted, focus this Ana, and then focus maybe the Baptiste helping your Tracer, and then you and Tracer could initiate together on these two tanks. Oh, and the Doomfist up there. So those kind of tactics where you ult from behind as Moira are really good, especially if the front line is very far ahead of their supports, which in this case they're going to naturally do because there's two range supports. So just keep that in mind. Luckily, you do a really good job escaping this Doomfist. You just finesse the hell out of him. Yeah, damage orb wasn't a terrible call there, but probably not that bad. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, I don't... In those cases, it's hard to say if using your Wraith to regroup is the better idea. You could have just stuck on cart a little bit longer and just hid to allow your team time to respawn. But let's see what happens here. Yep, good healing orb. Yep, good healing. Yep, good job. In situations like this where it's a little chaotic, I like to tell my team where I'm throwing my orb. Oh, you should have definitely kept a healing orb for... Oh, okay, you're on us back. Good. I like to tell my team exactly where I'm placing a healing orb, so I kind of dictate where they're going to be operating. So when that Reinhardt charged in and then he like shattered, he can go in for like one kill, but he can know to stay back and play around your healing orb. That will keep him up, just in case for whatever reason he gets chunked down really hard. Yep, so... Ooh. Hold on. I gotta see what rollout that was. Oh! What? I did not know about that rollout. Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm really happy about that. Okay, sorry. Back to the real VOD. Wow, I'm mind blown. Brilliant. Okay, gotta focus, gotta focus. Again, see how that damage orb kind of just bounces off into space. It doesn't really effectively get used up entirely. That's what's going to separate you out of Masters. If your orbs aren't doing its full potential, doing the full 200 damage that it can be, and your healing doing the full 300 that it can do, you're gonna really you're not gonna get like you're not getting the worth out of the character. And that's what people at Masters and Grandmasters are able to do, is it's get the full kit of the character. So right now, this Echo's kind of bothering you, you could definitely just be poking her down. I know you're focusing on healing and the people right in front of you, but... Oh, that's rough. Yeah, in regards to that Echo, you could be right-clicking her, especially when she's right above you, because she doesn't have a lot of health, and their team doesn't have a lot of ways to really help her if you guys are engaging. So they might have the Ana to give her some healing, if the Ana has sights on her, but it's kind of difficult for the Brigitte to keep a consistent healing on her. Yep, great job. See, kind of like what you're doing with the Genji, how you're keeping him off of your team by making him disengage. Kind of can do that with the Echo. And it shouldn't be your sole responsibility, right? It should also be on the responsibility of your team to be picking down this Echo. Because it looks like the Brigitte is just putting an armor pack on her all the time. And that's going to make it very difficult for your team to kill her. Alright, so I think we're going to go into one more ultimate and then you'll probably swap the Ana. The double Ryan. That sucks. Okay, so your Reinhardt gets a good thing there. I guess what I'm confused about here is why you ulted. So 3 ultimates on our side, 3 on theirs. But Genji gets his ultimate in like 50 seconds. I think, yeah, I think that was just a really weird ultimate on your part. There wasn't really anything in front of you that said an ultimate would be a good idea, just because there were no low targets. The enemy team wasn't really engaging a lot of ultimates on their side, except for that Rhine Shatter. Yeah, I probably would not have ulted there. When you ult as Moira, you want to look for either killing enemies right off the bat, or you're looking to heal up your entire team. You guys just keep getting pushed into spawn. And it's definitely because this Echo is just being oppressive. There's the Ana swap. Okay, you guys decide to swap to dive. Except for the Hog. Yep, really good job focusing your Hanzo. Great nade. That Brig is going to suffer from that, now that you have Winston as well. Does suck that she is ulting during that, but it's okay. So she's staying here. Okay, interesting. So, okay. Personally, I would prefer the Lucio only to help counter the Grav, but if they're not comfortable, if they weren't feeling effective on Lucio and it's just straight up damage is outdoing the healing that you guys are providing, then yeah, it's fine. I like the attempt. That was a good attempt. But one thing that I'm noticing is that you're kind of just staying on cart, which is fine. Like 3 people on cart right now, but you could probably at this point here have your Hog, Moira, and your Hanzo on cart while you stay back a little bit further, just so you don't get doped by flanking DPS like this. You want them to commit more resources in cooldowns to getting to you than allowing them just to drop on you without a problem and then using their cooldowns to escape. Okay, so you have your ultimate. You don't have Genji anymore. So I guess your best target for your Nano is going to be either Winston or Moira. Oh, definitely grenades. Nice. Nice. I know it's so terrifying to have a Genji ult right in your face like that, but definitely try to just take a breath and gain your composure and just like accept the fact that if he's gonna get it, he's gonna get it, and if he doesn't, then he's just bad and you're better than him. Okay. I don't know about that one. But it's working, so you know what? Any nano's a good nano, I guess.
30 seconds remaining.
Okay, good job, Monty Winston. Now here you want to be thinking about where the next fight is going to happen. So you shouldn't necessarily be staying on this payload like this. You should kind of sit back in the corner in a little bit of a safer spot. Remember, you want them to commit resources to getting to you. Versus committing, having resources to escape. Yep, good anti. I do like how you use the back walls and surrounding terrain to get that anti off around shields. That's really smart. Great sleep.
This is going to hurt.
Ooh. Ooh. I think that was a pretty, like, high-level play there. You were anti-ing the people behind the Reinhardt as he was slept. You know what? I like it. That was really good.
My shots find their mark.
Hopefully, your team knows that this. Oh, good sleep, dude. Nice. Nothing better than sleeping a chonky boy. Okay. So coming into this last fight here, you have all the resources. Okay, we gave it to Roadhog. I'm not sure if he was the carry on your team or if he was just the one who was communicating the most. I do think Winston would be better in most cases, at least with this team comp, unless the Roadhog has his whole hog. If Roadhog has his ultimate, then using your nano on him basically shreds the hell out of anyone in his path. And now their Reinhardt is feeding, so... Win this? I think so. Although respawns might kill us. Got a fat anti here. Oh, the hog down, Mr. President. Oh man. That was a close match. I don't think it was anything on you specifically. I do think it came down to teamwork. But of course, there are always some small things to work on. So remember in the future, make sure that your orbs are deliberate and that they're well placed so that you're using them to their full potential. That's really going to help you and your team survive a lot of encounters. With Ana, just make sure your positioning is smart. You're not too close to where the fight is going to be at its center. Instead, you want to play on the outskirts of fights. So that's going to take a lot of cerebral knowledge about where fights are occurring and where you want to be placed around that. Gonna take care of it for today's video. If you like what you saw, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I put out a new video every week, typically on Mondays, but today was a weird day. And yeah, if you want to get your own VOD review, go to the Discord channel in the link below, where you can find information on how to submit a VOD review. Squash24, and we'll see you next time.